and wins the Kitco British Champions Long Distance Cup in the hands of Hollie Doyle. Glen Shield far side, Brando on the near side.
First number 5. True Self to the top. NASCAR is coming home best of all to win the Qatar Nassau Stakes under Hollie Doyle. NASCAR the winner.
Trushan is fighting back on the far side, and he's beginning to get there. Trushan wins again.
She's doing pretty well, isn't she? Since her first stakes win in 2019 on Gorgeous Noura to, what is it, 6 Group 1 wins now and a couple of those magic horses in between, Hollie. Thank you for coming onto the couch, keeping me company.
No, thanks for having me. It's yeah.
Well, I figured you weren't busy, you see. I was like, who could I ask that isn't flying around the world, riding these $1 million races? Unfortunately, right now it's you.
Yeah, unfortunately, I didn't have any excuses to throw this weekend, so...
The first question is, how are you? How is your arm? How has the recuperation been?
Yeah, I'm really getting there now. It's since my operation, things have really turned a corner. I before the op, I wasn't seeing much progress, which was frustrating. But
and why didn't you get the operation straight away? Did they not think it was necessary?
They thought I'd get away with not needing one. They thought the ligaments would kind of heal themselves, but I thought things were progressing, and it turns out we had an MRI just a few days before I had the operation, and it wasn't healing at all, and they were both completely ruptured still, so it needed to be done, really.
Were you really annoyed? Were you thinking, because if that was me, I'd be like, why didn't we just do that straight away? Why didn't we spare time? Were you annoyed?
I was very frustrated. To begin with, looking at the injury, I was struggling to get my mind around how this is going to get better on its own in the first place, and it wasn't. So it kind of.
And you don't want to question the medical professionals?
No, I don't know what I'm on about. So it kind of pushed me back another month after doing a month of rehab with the hope of getting back. So, but we're here now. So
yes, you're on the mend. I must confess, I saw the fall. You were holding your arm and you ducked under the white railing to walk into the ambulance. Number one, how did somebody not lift the white railing for you? And two, when I found out you'd broken your elbow and ruptured ligaments, I thought that woman must have incredible pain threshold to be able to get up and do that.
Yeah, it was a strange one really, because I was just delighted that I could walk away and brush myself off. When you have a fall like that, the first thing you're thinking is, what have I done? And all you care about is being able to get up and walk away, and then you kind of
worry about everything else after.
What's happening, and it's just the initial relief of being able to walk away is number one, and then you kind of, I didn't realise that I'd done the damage I'd done really, but thankfully it could have been a lot worse.
Absolutely. How was the pain? You realised obviously when you cool down and the adrenaline's gone and the relief of everything. How was the pain? A broken elbow must be significant.
It was okay. I mean, the worst pain I had was probably after my operation, to be honest. I was very shocked. I didn't expect it to be that painful, but on the night of the fall, I dislocated my elbow, but it popped itself back in, thankfully, because I wouldn't have been one for volunteering for someone to do that for me, so thankfully it did that itself. But in doing that, it then fractured the joint, which is what the problem's been, really.
Sounds like a mess, doesn't it?
But it's all been corrected, and
we're onwards and upwards now. So obviously the flat turf season started back in Ireland. It's on the horizon here. What are you looking like time frame wise for your comeback?
I'm really hoping that within the next 2 weeks I can be back in the saddle. I hope I can ride out next week if I get the go ahead from my consultant in the morning, but we'll just have to see. I'm pretty pleased with how things are going, but it's not just down to me, is it?
No, but there's never a good time to get injured, but the big races will start from May onwards, so you'll have plenty of time hopefully to be back for what you hope will be the big days. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, it's been frustrating, but it could have been a worse time.
Anybody who saw that fall knows that that the outcome is probably as good as we could have hoped for. But you've had some great days. I will confess, I've done some due diligence on you. I've contacted some of your friends, and I said, "Is there anything that you would like to ask Hollie that has not been asked already?" And the first question was, how your retainer came around with Imad, and the second one was, what was that significant horse? Was it Gorgeous Nura winning the stakes race, or what was that, you know, horse that put you on the map?
The horse that put me on the map.
Because it all seemed to kind of almost like an avalanche effect. Everything just started to happen and you started to roll very fast. And as I said in the opener, you've gone from having a stakes winner in 2019 to being the go-to person for the big day. Yeah,
I mean, things didn't happen for quite a few years for me, and then all of a sudden it kind of snowballed.
Was that a blessing in disguise in a way, because you had that experience?
I think so, yeah. I mean, obviously I didn't ride out my claim very quickly. It took me quite a few years.
So say all of us.
Yeah, and I, you know, looking back, I wouldn't change anything, you know, you know, I was a slow burner, but I feel like in that time I kind of was able to sit back and watch things happen around me, kind of the do's and don'ts, how people dealt with different situations and hurdles in life. So I wouldn't change anything.
And all that happening without the major focus being on you. I often see jockeys, you know, they fly through their claim and they're maybe get a big job, pressures, and things just don't happen for them, and everything happens to be on the front of the racing post or in the limelight, whereas you could do that, get that experience, make those mistakes without being the Hollie Doyle we know today.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of probably, everyone makes mistakes, and thankfully when I was doing most of mine, the eyes weren't on me.
Yeah.
Which is, like you say, a blessing in disguise probably. You know, if you fly through your claim and then you're on the big stage and maybe you're not ready or you hadn't that much experience, people are always watching you and criticising you, and I think anything you do in life, people are always downing you or criticising, but
if they're talking about you though, you're doing something right, you know that.
Yeah.
And since then, obviously, things have really started to snowball. You've been taken under the wing of Imad, and you've got on some great horses as a result. Talk to me about some of the best. Nashwa is obviously the place to start. Such a special filly, such a fast filly. First classic win. What is it like getting on her?
Well, she's just different class, really. I mean, to find a filly like Nashwa so early on with my association with Imad Sky and Blue Diamond Stud has been phenomenal. You know, every kind of goal I've come across, the next one was to ride a classic winner, and to have found her, it was pretty.
She's kind of the, you know, every jockey needs the horse. For Rachel at home, it was Honeysuckle. For Paul Townend, it was probably Album Photo winning the Gold Cups, and you need that horse to show that you can handle the occasion and excel. She, like you see her here in the Nassau, we see her in the Prix de Diane. She's done that for you, hasn't she?
She has, yeah. And you know, before Nashwa, I had Glen Shiel and the likes of Truchan, which kind of built me up to the high level, and then to take me to that next level, I've found her, thankfully, and my association with Imad has gone from strength to strength, and yeah, thankfully she's staying in training another year.
Yeah, that must have been. Were you part of that decision making? Were you saying, yes, I definitely think she's going to improve?
Well, I was always very encouraging. The fact that I think she's going to improve as a 4-year-old. I mean,
but she's not small. I saw her in Epsom. She's not small.
She's a big girl, yeah, and she's even bigger this year apparently. And unfortunately, with my injury, I haven't actually been able to sit on anything. Which is really frustrating, because this is the time of year where you're wanting to ride the 2-year-olds and get a little feel off them, and I haven't done any of that.
There's plenty of time. Relax.
But no, she her dam, you know, thrived with age. So
Frankels tend to do all right with a bit of age as well, don't they?
Yeah, exactly, and she's maturing well.
You mentioned, well, obviously she's taken you to that level, but riding for the likes of the Gosdens, riding for Roger Charlton, the fact that you get to ride for these big yards now opens your portfolio and you know, makes those all important connections, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I did my apprenticeship with Richard Hannon, nurtured me along, and you know, I really loved working there, and riding for Richard Hannon was great. And as a kid, when you're growing up, to get those opportunities, you kind of had to pinch yourself really, and lost my claim, and then kind of Archie Watson took me under his wing, and had plenty of success, and still work for Archie, which is great. And then kind of looking to always heighten your career, aren't you, and go to the next level. And thankfully, getting the job with Imad has opened a few doors with the likes of John Gosden and Roger Charlton and Roger Varian. So
you mentioned Archie there, Archie Watson, incredibly loyal to you, and very much so, regardless of whether it's Chelmsford or the Curragh, he's always been your man. Glen Shiel was one of those all-important horses. Another massive horse. I remember talking about him at the Curragh, and all of a sudden I was like, what is this big national hunt? Oh no, wait, it's the Sprinter. He's tough, wasn't he? He was. You actually really suited him because you get rolling and he gets going.
Yeah, he was a real grinder. I mean, when we first got Glen, I think we ran him over 10 furlongs in the...
Well, I can see why.
In a Lincoln trial around Wolverhampton, and he had been running over middle distances in France and mud runner, but he was showing more and more speed, and Archie decided to drop him back in trip, and hey ho, he becomes a top
Archie
sprinter.
knew best.
Yeah.
He doesn't, he's never a horse that's going to win by 4 or 5 lengths. He just digs in as much as necessary. Do you like riding that type of horse? Is he kind of one of those grinders?
Yeah, he's a real grinder. He doesn't make your job very easy, but he gives his all, and I suppose that was his minimum trip by a long way. So, he stays, but he always used to be a bit vulnerable to horses with a bit more,
a bit more zip
late on. Yeah, although he had plenty of early speed.
He and in these slow motion shots, you can really see your style. And even though you're a small person, you ride with quite a lot of depth and use every inch of your body. I suppose when you're riding yourself, you always have the kind of people you style yourself on, what you aim to be, but you have to kind of maximise what God gave you. And how did you, I suppose, growing up, who did you aspire to be looking like or to ride like? And how did you come down in the current style that you have?
I think growing up, I was guilty of wanting to ride exactly like someone else, and with my build and size and everything, it just wasn't going to happen. And I got to a point where I realised that, and I've got to find what works for me and adapt, and make that as best as
you have to maximise your own gift,
so kind of when I accepted that and realised that I can't be riding.
When did you accept that? Were we after riding a few winners at that stage, or when did you accept
I think I was it was actually when I was young, and when I started out, I didn't have a jockey coach or anything like that, and I think it was when I started having like one-on-one tutoring with Roddy Green, and he was like, right, show me what you can do, and he said, now this is on the simulator, show me what you can do, and then he just completely said, forget all that, now don't think about it.
Who are you trying to be like?
I used to really look, well, I obviously still do, I obviously was obsessed with Ryan Moore, and growing up I used to want to be a jump jockey, but I didn't grow. A.P. McCoy and Kieran Fallon. You've
named 3 completely different riding
3 different styles, so that's probably why it wasn't working out. But no, when I kind of found my style, it kind of, the penny dropped and I was away.
Yeah, because you can get under a horse's stride, whether they're 2 miles on slow ground with Trushan or Glen Shiel on a sprint. You can seem to do that and find the horse's rhythm. That's me watching you. As somebody who'll have been watching through the winter this new whip rule situation being implemented, do you see yourself having to adapt your style to basically adhere and not fall foul to the new rules that have been brought in?
Obviously, when you go abroad to ride, you have to adapt in every kind of jurisdiction, and I hope I can ride within the new regulations. I obviously haven't been able to ride with the bedding in period, but obviously I've been watching racing every day because I'm a sad person.
No, all of us do that.
So I kind of, I know what the limitations are and what's being asked of us, but it's not until you put it into practice and you're
actually in the situation.
Yeah. In the situation, you can practice all you want on a simulator, but when you're head to head, heads up, heads down, that's when we'll see.
And the pressure's on. You mentioned the different jurisdictions and having to adapt. I'm interested to get your take on Japan, because we've seen how it's not a new phenomenon, their success on a global scale. We've been seeing it for a number of years now, and we know why. but you and Tom went to visit Japan to ride there. What was it like, number one, and what can we learn from them, number two?
Oh, I mean, I don't really need to say much. I think they do the talking with the results they had yesterday.
What is it that they're getting so right?
I think they've worked incredibly hard over a very long period of time with the pedigree side of things. You know, the ability to breed these impeccable middle distance horses is really shining through now, and their hard work is really paying off. But it's just a different world. It's not even comparable to here, really. But I'm a bit obsessed with it since. In
terms of their training or their racing?
Just everything, really. Everything, really. It's all very different, and you know, the horses are kind of different breeds. But you know, for me personally, I would have loved to have ridden more winners. I only rode 2 winners, but I'd love to go back because I'm really passionate about it, and I'm sure
they're listening. She wants to go back, guys.
Yeah, obviously
you
don't have much of a choice really, because obviously you have to apply. But no, I really enjoyed my time there, and I think Tom did too.
Yeah, well, he's had enormous success out there and in Australia. He was out of luck yesterday on his comeback rides. He's 9 rides in Rosehill, was that right?
Yeah, I think he had 9 rides last night, and unfortunately no winners. A few ran well, so
he'll be getting fit.
Yeah, he just wore me out.
he'll be getting his eye back in. Look, we could talk about all the different racing jurisdictions, but coming back to yourself, I thought one of the magic training performances that you, I suppose, reaped the benefits of was True Self.
Oh, yeah.
An Oscar mare, going to Riyadh, going to Goodwood, excelling at Takura. Willie Mullins, the magic man.
Yeah, magic man. That's an understatement, really. From what
she
we
went
saw
from
last
winning
week.
bumpers, you know.
I know, it was crazy, and for a filly, you know, like her to go all the way to Riyadh and do what she did, and it's unfortunate that the race has been up now, isn't it, to a group.
It's a group 3 or group 2 now,
group
is it?
2, I think, yeah.
This was it when it was a handicap, is that right?
Yeah, it was a handicap, so a year later it was upgraded, unfortunately for her, but
the neon turf is no longer an option for the Oscar mare.
No, unfortunately not, but no, it was a serious performance, but a serious training performance. To have a filly ripe and ready to go at that time of year is not easy, is it?
From Ireland,
yeah.
When we have no sunshine.
The complete opposite.
And have you seen his gallop? It's not like what that surface is in Riyadh.
Yeah, I've seen it, but I haven't been lucky enough to ride on it. But it's the opposite, isn't it, to what she experienced that day.
It's amazing how they identified that opportunity, and then they put their trust in you. And how was that connection made?
I think they literally contacted my agent, Willie Mullins' office, and put me on. So I was very grateful for that opportunity, because it doesn't come along very, you know, at that stage it wasn't. It
wasn't plentiful.
Often.
Yeah, I remember thinking this is a huge opportunity, and then obviously it's a hugely lucrative race, and you made the most of it. And talking about making the most of it, one of the best, I suppose, stayers of the last decade, one of the most likeable horses in training is Trushan. And Alan King, another predominantly jumps trainer, they seem to take a shine to you.
Yeah, strange. No, Alan, he's an incredible trainer, and he's such a gentleman. And
he really minds this horse. You know, he understands what the horse needs, and he understands what it takes to get the best out of him. You have to really respect that, don't you?
Yes, a huge respect for Alan, because he hasn't had it easy, you know, with the criticism of everyone, you know, the punters pulling him out. And
again, if they're not talking about it, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, exactly. But no, the way he campaigns him and handles him is, you know, maybe another trainer wouldn't have got the results that Alan has with Trushan if he hadn't have been so, you know.
He's doing what's best by his horse. This is the long distance cup. You can see Quick Turn on the inside, Contrail down the outside, you're in the centre. He's just ever so gutsy, and he can take a bit of riding. He can be good and keen early.
You never know what you're going to get, really. Some days he drops his head and settles beautifully, and other days he doesn't leave you alone, and the further he goes, the keener he can get. I wasn't getting beat on this day after the defeat at Doncaster, that's for sure.
Yeah, he loves a battle, and look, Doncaster was a messy race, Goodwood was a messy race, but on his day he's a real top class stayer. So you've had the best of both worlds. You've had a Group 1 sprinter, top stayer, and you must feel very lucky. I'm
very lucky, yeah, to have found the horses I've found over the last few years, and hopefully I can try and find some more. Yeah,
so that's the next element. I was like, what horses have you got to look forward for this year? Well, there's actually quite a number. You obviously haven't been riding out, so you mightn't have been on their backs yet, but how is Bradzel, the horse that won the Coventry so well last year?
I've been into Archie's on work days and I've been keeping a close eye on him. But Mick Murphy rides him out every day, and everybody's really pleased with his progression. Obviously, that day in the Curragh was just a write-off, and it was a bit of a scare for everyone.
He never looked comfortable, did he? You know, from even I saw him in the paddock, and I was thinking, oh, that's not the horse I saw at Ascot. And then obviously they fluffed his lines at the gates, and it was over.
Yeah, no, he just wasn't himself, and his race was probably lost at the gates when he stumbled, and luckily he did find a position after that, but he just wasn't himself. And you know, we were all a bit fearful, obviously after a horse taking an injury like that, as to what you're going to get this season.
Yeah.
But you know, he's grown and he's strengthened up, so hopefully he can.
You think he's more than just a 2-year-old?
I think so. You know, obviously there is always that worry when they're so early, but he seems to have developed pretty well, and his work's been pretty solid. Obviously he hasn't done anything too serious yet because it's still early days, but what he's shown us is just as good, if not better, as last year's.
Well, that's hugely exciting, because we know he's got all of this untapped potential, and he's so lightly raced. If he can get him back 100% health-wise, he could be very exciting, as could Eddie's boy. What could he be this year?
Yeah, Eddie's boy, he was a great horse for us. Obviously winning the Super Sprint, it's a really prestigious race, and it's a race that I've always wanted to win. Obviously working for Richard Hannon, he had plenty of success in it.
Emphasis on speed.
Yeah, emphasis on speed, but unfortunately he's been sold to Qatar now.
Oh, after being second in Doha?
Yeah, after his second run, he's out there with the Al Wasimia stud, so yeah.
Okay, he's in good company. Instancio, while you were off gallivanting there in the winter time, that horse was winning in Newcastle. It's a well-tried path for the Gosdens. Could that be interesting this year?
Yeah, I hope he can be an interesting horse this year. Obviously, I haven't ridden him yet.
It's got to be his entry, Holly. Come on,
he's got the entries that are the right signs, and Mr. Gosden wouldn't have made those if he didn't have high hopes. So I'm yet to sit on him, so I can't say too much. But obviously, the signs are there. The dream's alive. So we'll see what route he goes down.
You mentioned, the Japanese and their pedigrees and how hard they've worked at that. Is that something that interests you, considering you have a retainer to a stud, essentially, and hopefully over time you will, ride the progeny or the sisters of or the brothers of? Is that something that interests you? Is that something that you would study before a race? Yeah, I'm guilty. I'm very interested in the pedigree side of things, and I suppose it's been the last few years when I have been finding these nice horses, and you get a bit older and you end up riding the son or the daughter of something you've ridden in the past, and you kind of know a bit more. But I'm pretty interested in that side of things, and the connection with Imad, with him being a owner breeder. That's the perfect match then, isn't it? Because you both have mutual values.
Yeah, I'm kind of very, very passionate, as is he. So I'm learning plenty on the job. And
given the extra time you've had, out of interest, what have you been doing with your extra time?
I've been trying to just get better, to be honest.
You've been watching racing every day.
Yeah, watching racing, watching horses run that would have been riding.
Would you go demented looking at a horse that you should have been riding, thinking that should be me?
I'm okay, especially with Archie's horses now. We're very much a part of a team, so I'm always kind of and he's always been very loyal to me. So and
not every jockey has that, and that really plays on you mentally, doesn't it?
Mentally, it's really nice that I've got those firm associations now and the trust.
It's a comfort, isn't it?
Yeah, it's comfort to know that when I'm ready, they'll put me back on. Whereas a few years ago, didn't have that security.
You've been rushing and doing, and ultimately that's the wrong thing to do, because you're not 100%, so you can't give 100%, and ultimately you'll end up, displeasing somebody.
Yeah, a few years ago you'd always been chasing your tail and worrying, and but I've got, some good people around me now.
Yeah, bit of maturity.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, it comes with success. So you'll be back in hopefully the not too distant future. Nashwa's still in training, Trushan's still in training. Can you set goals? Like, you were second in the championship last year. You've clocked up any number of Group 1s. What do you tell yourself that drives you?
Riding winners really drives me, but obviously I want to...
It's a numbers game to Holly.
It's not a numbers game, but when I'm riding winners, I'm very happy. Okay. But obviously you always want to better yourself, and it's took me, getting to the level I'm at now, it's great, but staying there is the hardest part.
That's it. So you work so hard to get there, and then you don't want to give it away, or you don't want anybody getting that, and it's tenacious. It plays on you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does play on me, especially, and going back down the ladder isn't an option in my brain right now, so I'll be doing all I can to kind of stay at this level, but it's not easy. And things can change, but thankfully I'm in a good position for now, touch wood.
Are you good with pressure?
I love
into
pressure.
Group 1 on National League,
I enjoy pressure. I enjoy the big days, which really helps, because obviously some people don't like pressure, but I seem to enjoy it.
Did you feel the pressure coming in here today?
I felt more pressure coming in here than I do going to ride in the Group 1.
Well, I cannot tell you, Hollie, it really, when we signed up Arthur Moore, it's great. Who's the next? Hollie Doyle, thank God. So that was, while Nick Luck was away on his holidays in Dubai, we got our dream cast to keep us company here on the couch. I hope you at home have really enjoyed it. Thank you to everybody who's come in. To you, Hollie, I hope you're back in the position soon.
No, thanks for having me.
And to you at home, thank you for your company. I hope you have a great Sunday, and see you all next week.
Watch live racing now on racingtv.com.